evening, happy Friday, and welcome to another edition of Rebel Watch. I'm Carson Waire. With me, NewsWatch sports reporter Jayson Kern. Joseph Rogers also joining us from Rebel Radio. Another edition. Hope you had a great week. Going to talk a little bit of sports today. The main story obviously being the Super Bowl, which will go down this Sunday. We'll start the slate off with that, guys. Pretty interesting storyline coming in. The game kicks off, obviously, Sunday, February 12th at 5:30 p.m. The youngest combined age for quarterbacks in Super Bowl history. Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts, 51 years old combined. The Kelsey brothers squaring off. Some very, very interesting things going on as these two number one seeds, these two heavyweights, square off in this game. We'll start things off with some talk about Kansas City, obviously winning that thrilling game 2 weeks ago, which you heard us discuss last week on last week's edition of Rebel Watch. Jason, we'll start with you. 3 keys to the game for Kansas City. What do they have to do to get this done?
They got to stop the run. That Eagles offensive line is way too dominant, way too experienced. Don't let Miles Sanders get hot because he will run all over you. It's all about the defense. Is Mahomes 100%? We're going to find out. And the third key, the wide receivers, are they going to step up? Or is Mahomes going to struggle all day long? We're just going to find out.
And Joseph, anything to add? Your 3 keys to the game.
Stop the run. Stop the run, stop the run, stop the run. Philly's offense is built around the running game, whether it be running backs, Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, and you can't forget about Jalen Hurts on the ground. The dude's unstoppable.
Absolutely. Jalen Hurts definitely been contributing quite a bit in the running category, making a lot of plays on the ground this year for Philadelphia. And now we'll move on to Philadelphia, the team that right now in the betting odds is favored to win this game. And once again, we'll just run the same thing. Start with you this time, Joseph. 3 keys for the game. What can the Eagles do to get this win?
They have to establish the run game. Establishing the run game leads to play actions, deep shots. We get A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith running over across the middle of the field. Containing Pat Mahomes. You need to put pressure on Pat Mahomes. Test that ankle out a little bit. See if it's 100% healthy. And the last thing, don't get caught up in the moment. Let veteran leaders like Lane Johnson and Jason Kelsey lead you the right ways.
And I agree. I mean, it's going to be ground and pound in the trenches all night long. That Eagles offensive line, like I said, is incredible. They're experienced. Jalen Hurts, first ever Super Bowl. Mahomes has been there. So the pressure is on Jalen Hurts in this game. How's he going to perform? Is he going to be nervous? Mahomes, cool, calm, and collected. Andy Reid, ready to go. It's all about Jalen Hurts and how he performs this Sunday.
Absolutely, and as Jason just mentioned, Andy Reid, a pretty interesting story. Coach of the Eagles for a long time, as we all know. Now facing his former team, chance to add a ring to his collection. And we'll get some predictions for the game now. Jason, we'll start with you. Who's going to win and by what score and for what reason?
I mean, every single category the Eagles are, I feel like, are just more dominant. Besides quarterback, Mahomes is better than Hurts. I think the line is better, the defense is better, the playmakers are better on the Eagles. I got Eagles 31-24.
Last week I said the Eagles were going to win this game. After thinking about it, looking at the tapes from this year, I'm going to switch my pick to the Kansas City Chiefs. They have the veteran Pat Mahomes. He's been here since 2017. This is his 2nd Super Bowl now. He's a veteran leader. He knows what to expect in this kind of game. Give me the Chiefs 31-28.
Yep, for a lot of those same reasons, I'm going to go with the veteran quarterback that's been in that situation before. I've got Kansas City 28-21. I think they hold the Eagles offense to just 3 touchdowns in that game. So enough talk about the Super Bowl. We're going to talk some women's basketball next coming up here on Rebel Watch. The team hitting its stride here. We're getting into the nitty-gritty of the SEC schedule, but as we'll discuss coming up, some tough games in the schedule right ahead. That's up next on Rebel Watch.
It's that time of the year again, fellas. When the mornings are hot, the afternoons are hotter, and football is on its way back. Now, games is won by the battles fought in August. Everyone that's not revered as an Ole Miss legend has been in your shoes before, trying to survive that Mississippi heat, competing for a spot, and knowing the sacrifice that it takes to make it in this league. You go into this money collection of men from 100 different places, and if you work, you emerge from it as one team with one goal and one heartbeat. The SEC awaits you. And if they don't know who you are now, They will soon.
Where are we gonna go?
Someplace warm. A place where the beer flows like wine. Where beautiful women instinctively flock like the salmon of Capistrano. I'm talking about a little place called
Oxford, Mississippi.
To see it is to believe it. You hear about it, but you just have to see the party.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Grove. The sound and fury are here. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Did he got a toe down?
Pageantry, the pride, the pomp is unmatched and unrivaled.
This stadium has come unhinged.
This is what college football is all about.
Oh, as he gets walloped.
No coach is having more fun than Lane Kiffin.
This is the place to be in college football right now.
And welcome back to Rebel Watch. I'm Carson Waire. With me, Jayson Kern and Joseph Rogers. Just discussed the Super Bowl. Now we're going to bring things here to Oxford. We're going to talk about the Ole Miss women's basketball team. They currently sit at 4th place in the Southeastern Conference. We're really getting into the nitty-gritty of the season where a lot of these big games are going to occur, and there are some big games coming up this week. In fact, the team's next 3 games are against, guys, Kentucky, LSU, and South Carolina. So, Joseph, just talk a little bit about those 3 opponents coming up. Quite the grinder this team's being put through. Really a test of what they're made of. We're going to see.
For sure, for sure. I mean, you got opponents like LSU, number 3 in the country, in Baton Rouge nonetheless, followed by South Carolina, but can't look past Kentucky getting ready for those 2 games. Kentucky is going to put us on the tip of our toes and force us to play fundamental basketball. But looking onward, Ole Miss will travel to Baton Rouge to face legendary coach Kim Mulkey and Angel Reese. Reese is averaging 24 points and 16 rebounds, both top 5 in the country in those stats. We have to contain Reese to have a chance to get LSU. And then with South Carolina, we can't forget about Aaliyah Boston, the defending National Player of the Year, averaging 13 and 10, but shooting almost 60% from the field. It's definitely going to be a tough game for the Ole Miss Rebs.
Absolutely. Boston, one of the premier players in college basketball. Jayson, I'll get you to weigh in on this. A couple things the Rebels can do to up their chances and come out on top of some of these games they have in the future. Really big test.
Our girls team is so much fun to watch. Every single game, they surprise you in every different category. Offensively, defensively, they're just a fun team to watch. And LSU's undefeated. South Carolina's undefeated. Should we be worried about those 2 teams coming up? I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if not really surprised, but this is going to be a huge test for this team. Kentucky is decent, but not as good as they've been in the past. But LSU, out of nowhere, has been insane, and USC defending national champions. It's going to be a fun next week.
Absolutely. Definitely a big test for the team. A big story here on our own team, Angel Baker chasing her 2,000-point mark for her career. Pretty incredible. Obviously played at Wright State before Ole Miss. Jayson, just talk a little bit about what she's meant to the team this year.
4 points away. Okay, that's incredible. It's been so much fun to watch her shoot the ball, get aggressive on defense. She's just a great player to watch, and to be 4 points away from such an amazing accomplishment is pretty awesome.
Yeah, Angel Baker, she's coming off an outstanding shooting night against Florida, shooting 9 of 13, including 2 of 3 from the 3-point line. It's very important that she's on point with these next 3 games for Ole Miss to have a chance.
Absolutely. Just talk a little about what's Coach Yo meant. Really a great developer of players. We know that. Baker's field goal percentage has gone up every year since she's been with the team. Just that really speaks volumes, doesn't it, to Coach Yo and how she can develop these players.
She just brings so much energy, and she just gets all the players to buy in. And it's just an exciting time to be on that team, and it just must be so much fun to be around her all day long. And I guess that's what's bringing some firepower to this 19-5 team.
I think the ultimate kind of scale to see how much impact the coach has is you look at the defensive numbers. That's where you find out who's really bought into this team. And you look at Ole Miss's defense. We've held Florida under 50 points. That is the 7th time that's been done this year by the Ole Miss defense, followed by a 24-point field goal percentage by the Florida Gators, which is the lowest Ole Miss has held an SEC opponent to in 20 years.
Absolutely, some dominant defense. We talked about this last week, Coach Yo, calling it a kill when the team gets 3 stops in a row. They keep track of how many kills they get. They really prioritize that as something that can keep their momentum or take back the momentum in a game to help them get some of those wins. Definitely a great performance so far this season from the women's basketball team. We're very excited to see what they have in store for us in the future. The season's really starting to heat up. We're going to see what they're made of these next couple of weeks. Definitely a lot of exciting stuff going on around the women's basketball team. Coming up next year on RebelWatch, we'll talk about the men's basketball team, see what's going on with them. Big win over Georgia the other night. That's something that we will talk about all coming up next right here. Don't go anywhere.
It's about where you're from. It's about where you're going. So where are you going?
I'm going to be the first in my family to graduate.
I'm going to make a difference.
Just like my granddad.
I'm going to make the bestseller list.
And I'm going to help him get there.
I'm going to win a championship.
Again! I'm going to lock the vault! Hotty toddy!
I'm going to take the next step.
I'm going to bring them to their feet.
I'm going to Ole Miss.
Ole Miss. Build your legacy.
Great.
Ole Miss, 18th NCAA tournament appearance.
This is fun, folks, as Baker's peeling it. Little heat check. Snow Collins for 3. Bring it up.
Said, I love Madison Scott.
Ole Miss Rebels are having a lot of fun, and you can see why.
Do you love sports? Then you should know about STEM. Because maximizing nutrition, analyzing peak muscle performance, calculating the perfect shot, and more are all made possible by science, technology, engineering, and math. In fact, there are more careers than ever in sports science. So if you have a passion for sports, then think about getting involved in STEM and improve everyone's game on and off the field. Get inspired at SheCanSTEM.com.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding. Why did the girl ask the mushroom to dance? Because he was a fun guy. What do you call a pig that knows karate? Pork chop.
So how does a tissue dance? Put a little boogie on it.
My passion is journalism. Here at the University of Mississippi, we produce a nightly half-hour newscast, broadcasting regionally on cable and globally on the World Wide Web. It's the kind of experience that is preparing me to walk into any news station in the country with the skills and abilities I need to succeed. So it's not just preparing me for the real world, it is the real world.
Welcome back to Rebel Watch. Carson Waire, Jayson Kern, Joseph Rogers in here hanging out on this Friday afternoon. Thank you for making us part of your weekend. Going to talk some Ole Miss men's basketball now. A team that's had its struggles this year, but just picked up a nice win over Georgia. A little bit of a momentum swing there for sure. Coach Kermit Davis got his team a little more motivated possibly after seeing that win. And, you know, still some time left in the season, still some opponents left to play. Guys, there's still some time left to build on a little bit. Jason, what's going on? What are 3 things possibly that we can build on? What are 3 guys that are having good performances or something like that that the team can use as a little bit of a momentum going forward?
The record doesn't show what this team is made of. This team is good. This team is in every single game they play. They just cannot finish. The defense has been fantastic. It's just offensively, it's like one guy gets the ball. They guys got to change it up a little bit, see if they can get things going, see if they can build off some chemistry, get some chemistry going. Hopefully it leads them into the game Saturday against South Carolina at home, who we already beat once this season.
You got to look at Jamin Brakefield. You know, the guy's coming off 2 straight games leading the Rebs in scoring. Look for him to continue with his offensive output and hopefully get the momentum still rolling with the Ole Miss Rebs. A couple more things. You look at Ole Miss, they're only averaging about 17 free throws a game. You look at the Georgia game, though, we got to the line 27 times and converted 22 of them, about an 81% clip. Getting to the line will win you games as long as you can make your free throws. Lastly, cutting down on turnovers, I think, is the biggest thing. Less turnovers leads to more shots, more baskets, obviously. Rebs averaging 13 a game this season. In the last 2 games alone, they've just combined for 13. So look at them to keep a hold of the ball and keep things going.
Absolutely. And as you mentioned, you know, the free throw shooting, the game against Kentucky was at the line all the time, and ultimately we saw in the second half, that was the difference in the game, was how much Kentucky was able to get to the free throw line and knock down those free throws. Jason, talk a little about, how about Amari Abram, though? A freshman coming in, making a real impact on the offensive side and what he's meant to the team scoring-wise.
As a freshman, he showed so many great signs. He had a great game against Kentucky. He had some great games earlier in the year. We have players that can shoot. We've had players that showed up. Ty Fagan off the bench has been fantastic. Brakefield, like you said, has been a great key to this team. Having Morrell back is fantastic. Came in clutch at the end with some free throws against Georgia to seal the win. We have good scorers. It's just the chemistry isn't there. So it's going to be interesting to see how this team squares off Saturday.
Absolutely. Definitely, as we mentioned, a little bit of time left in this season to get some momentum going, get some positives going into next year, especially for a guy like Abram. There's been some absences in the backcourt, as we know. He's filled in extremely well, and this is a guy that we're probably going to look to build around as a program for the next couple of years. And, you know, Joseph, what does it mean when you've got a guy that's young like that and you can already see some flashes of, hey, in 2-3 years, this is definitely going to be one of the top guards in the SEC. And, you know, what does it mean for the attitude of a fan base and a team when you've got a guy like that you can look forward to?
I mean, you kind of can compare it to how Quinshon Judkins' effect on the football team this year. We rallied around a true freshman, establishing himself in the SEC as one of the great players. You can hope that Abram does the same thing and maybe evolves into a Devontae Shuler or a Brennan Tyree, one of the guys that you can count on to get you a bucket whenever you need.
Absolutely. So some time left to get some positives going into next year. Speaking of positives, the track and field team, wonderful campaign so far. Men's and women's squads both ranked, the 14th time in the program history that they've both been ranked at the same time. Whole lot of success from them. And they are just getting started this season. We'll wrap things up next after we discuss that right here on Rebel Watch.
Takes dedication, spirit, and a greater vision. That vision starts here at the University of Mississippi. What will you be remembered by? Your character, your contributions, your friendship. Your legacy will define who we are now and who we are becoming for our state, our students, and our future. Ole Miss, build your legacy.
The dynamic freshman is starting to make his impact.
Dagger with the shot clock down to 1.
That 3-ball drops for Jamin Brakefield.
Fagan from the corner with a triple. Morrell for 3, and that's a big response.
3-ball, yes. Miss shooting lights out of the pavilion.
And give him one more.
Wow, alley-oop. Well, you can't teach that.
Well, that should give Ole Miss a boost.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
We are rebels. For more than 160 years, we've been accomplishing the impossible, from conducting the world's first lung transplant to helping prove Einstein was right. from preserving the past to saving the future. We are Mississippi's flagship university, a place where passion and learning unite, where friends become family, where small-town charm meets world-class innovation. We are the University of Mississippi. We are Ole Miss.
And we welcome all of you back as we wind down this week's edition of Rebel Watch. Going to end it with a little discussion about the Ole Miss track and field team. The men's and women's squads both ranked, as we mentioned. The men's come in ranked number 23rd, the women's ranked 17th. A lot of big contributors, some of them being freshmen for both of these teams. Jason, we'll start things on the women's side. Just break down a little bit. What's been going on? There's been a whole lot of talent, a whole lot of success being had early on in the season.
It's all about the senior leadership on this team. You got Jelani Davis and Jasmine Mitchell, who've been absolutely dominant. They got Davis and Mitchell are the only throwers in NCAA this year to throw over 17 meters in the shot put and 24 meters in the weighted throw. It's just been fantastic to watch those two.
Absolutely. A lot of success in the weighted throw. And on the men's side, also some success in the weighted throw. Joseph, breakdown, there's been a freshman absolutely killing it in the event.
Yeah, to say the least. Tariq Robinson O'Hagan has been doing his thing for the men's weighted throw. We see that he's the first collegiate freshman since 2013 to hit 22 meters and 64 feet in his respective throws. Look for the freshman to keep doing his thing this year and for years to come for Ole Miss.
Absolutely. And we've seen this team, both of these squads, they've been around New York City, Vanderbilt, just to name a couple places they've been in the recent weeks. Definitely a team that we are going to look to make this whole campus excited, really. You know, track and field, one of those sports that gets overlooked sometimes. This is a very successful program we have, guys, and this is a program that should get a lot more attention, in my opinion. Both of them being ranked, obviously, should make people excited. And that's about all we got this week for this edition of Rebel Watch. We thank you so much for tuning in and making us a part of your weekend. I'm Carson Waire. With me, Joseph Rogers, Jayson Kern. Thank you all very much. Have an outstanding weekend. We will see you next Friday.